benefit all of the other industries that, in one way or another, take advantage of IT.
All right. Now, where does environment figure in all of this? Because that's the latest, that's the buzzword right now. Everyone wants to be environmentally conscious. Even Apple has gone that way. So, where does environment figure in this debate for you?
Yeah, you know, it's pretty fundamental to a lot of the ways in which our customers think about the IT solutions they want to use, especially on the enterprise side. So, you know, honestly, I feel fortunate in that we were the company that brought to the data center the whole environmental conversation in many ways. I think we reacted to the reality of energy density being capped and cooling expense being a fundamental problem in the data center, and responded to it very well with Opteron. So we kind of led that conversation back in the middle part of this decade. Frankly, in many ways, that conversation, it's almost a platitude, right? Because everybody's talking about it. It's just a given. So I wouldn't say that we do anything special anymore from a branding perspective. Certainly fundamental, you know, especially energy efficiency and power efficiency, fundamental to all of our engineering activities.
Right, but you see that driving opportunities forward now. Now it's the de facto. It's not
it's a given.
An extra. Yeah.
It's a given. You know, it used to be that from an engineering perspective, optimizing for either energy efficiency or power efficiency was kind of second or third on the list. Performance, cost, schedule, oh yeah, power efficiency. Now it's first. It's a fundamental limitation in terms of our ability to deliver increasing value to the customer. And, you know, it's part of the human conversation now.
Now let's talk about open source. Now, AMD took the initiative of developing a Linux open source driver for the R600, R700 graphics card series, Bullet Physics, Pixelux Entertainment tie-ups with that. Now, judging by these moves, is AMD moving towards, a more co-creative atmosphere with its consumers, where you involve them in the process of innovation as well? And do you see that percolating into core lineups? Right now, it's still a bit of on the fringe. Do you see core lineups also coming into the...
You know, I really don't, from the perspective of involving the end user consumer in the innovation in that way. I mean, what was behind our incremental investment in making available 3D drivers for the open source platform was first and foremost to do a better job of enabling application developers who are on Linux, who are developing enterprise applications for servers. That was mission number one. If you look at the open source platform from a client perspective, it's still pretty small, other than, you know, some aspects of the workstation market. That's not to say we don't believe in open source client platforms. We do, and we'll continue to ensure that there's an innovative set of AMD platforms combined with the open source area. But in terms of open source being a way to involve the end consumer as a business proposition, not so much. It's more of a software ecosystem.
Now, this is a question which most of the time CNBC asks its guests. Do you see the global IT situation recovering now? And as an offshoot of that question, do you see innovation taking a new turn? While companies are focusing on cost cutting, they're also looking at innovative ways to bring out new products while still keeping costs down. So how do you see the entire situation panning?
Yeah, so first of all, I do see in the recently closed Q3 the beginning of a clear and I hope robust and ongoing recovery in IT spending. Clearly it was consumers who were the strongest throughout the recent crisis, and that continues to be the case, although I will tell you, as I travel around and talk to CIOs and CTOs, we're clearly starting to see a different mentality around commercial IT spend now than 6 months ago. And, you know, I'm starting to hear CIOs talk about 2010 being a year in which their IT budgets grow over 2009, which I can tell you wasn't true 6 months ago.
All right, now let's focus on our favorite word, antitrust. Now, Let me quote Intel. Intel's position on antitrust is that the competition has resulted in tremendous benefits to consumers worldwide by providing continuous improvement in technology innovation, performance, and capability at consistently lower prices. Now, how do you respond to Intel's point on innovation?
I would simply say read the newspaper. You know, in the sense that every time regulators have looked in regions or countries in which antitrust laws exist at Intel's business practices, what they found is, as measured by those laws, Intel's practices have been in violation. And yeah, it's been true that you know, our industry has been characterized by increasing capability at lower cost. What's not clear is what the world would have been like but for Intel's anti-competitive practices. We'll never know. We'll never know what money consumers could have saved had true competition been surrounding the microprocessor industry.
All right. So how would you describe AMD's role in creating or seeding an innovation ecosystem? Because right now, Intel, some of its arguments are for that. They're saying that we have seeded some innovative ecosystem. We've driven the WiMAX Alliance, Wi-Fi. What do you have to say to that? What is AMD's contribution being to seeding an innovation ecosystem?
If you want to talk about what's AMD's contribution to the IT ecosystem, I think it's clear. We bring competition, we bring innovation. We've set standards. As an example, the 64-bit standards, which are proliferated around the world, are really an AMD instruction set. The whole way in which we drove energy efficiency into the data center, deploying multi-core technology and the associated system architecture, we came out with that at the beginning part of the decade. Intel's now catching up. So I think clearly we've been innovative. Our products have been innovative. We've made Intel a better company as a result of competing, and I look forward to the opportunity to being able to compete without one of my hands tied behind my back. I'm telling you, Intel will be better, we'll be better, and at the end of the day, customers will be better served.
What role do you see the government playing in fueling innovation? And also, taking that question forward, what lessons can Asia learn from the West?
Yeah, good question. I think clearly governments have a role in creating an environment in which innovation can be nurtured and develop and be relevant and drive the economy. First and foremost, human capital. I mean, it's all about people, and therefore education systems are fundamental. Clearly their infrastructure is important to create an environment that is productive for business and therefore innovation. Clearly, there's some elements of basic research that have over the years been funded by governments, and I hope that continues to be so on a worldwide basis. And I think the list is pretty short and stops about there. I think when you see governments trying to decide exactly where innovation can be applied and get the best commercial returns, I think that's been problematic over time, and I think will continue to be so. All
right, let's focus specifically on India, and I've got 4 development centers here. How critical do you see India playing a role in AMD's global strategy now, purely from research, from markets?
Yeah, we've got about 1,000 employees here in India, 90% or more of whom are involved in R&D activities. And, unlike, frankly, a lot of our peer companies, our R&D employees here are involved in what I'll call fundamentally important crown jewel sorts of activities. As an example, our first 45-nanometer server product was designed largely here in India. It was and still is the most complicated integrated circuit ever created, not just in India, but in all of Asia, and became the fundamental basis for our entire server lineup. Likewise, we just introduced the world's highest performance graphics GPU, great performance, great features, material contributions from our design teams here in India. And we've got teams here working on our so-called fusion technology, which is the integration of our graphics and CPU technology on a single chip. Really is the fundamental core of who we are, and material contributions being made by our team here in India. So I would say the team here is fundamentally important to who we are and what we want to do.
All right, and a summary statement. Would you give a mission statement to this audience on what you're going to do now, next year, probably the year next? What's your mission statement? What's your legacy going to be?
Well, yeah, I would say 2 things. One is, AMD is a company that's been 40 years in this business. I think we're a unique company and a uniquely important company, given the discussion we had earlier about the need for competition and the importance of the microprocessor business. In a lot of ways, we've been distinctive. The one area that I want to make us distinctive in going forward is being distinctive in the fact that we year in, year out profitably grow. So if I can accomplish one thing in my tenure as CEO, it would be simply that. Beyond that, I want to be the company that's known for really making consumers' lives more fun and more productive.
All right. Thank you very much, Dirk.
Thank you.
Well, it was quite an interesting session.